Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be discussing the battery life on my Huawei Nova Plus. Now before we start discussing the battery life, let's have a look and see which version of Android the Nova Plus is running. Tap into settings and go right at the end, and let's go into about phone, and this will give us all the information. So we have EMUI 4.1 along with Marshmallow 6.0. To be honest, they are both outdated, and the newer version EMUI 5 is already running on the flagship phones including P9 Plus and the Mate 9. And if I remember correctly, I think they have made an announcement already that they'll be providing EMUI 5 and Nougat to all the mid-ranges, hopefully at mid of this year at some point. And when they do, guys, I will definitely keep you informed if I still have the Nova Plus on me till that time. Okay, also this phone is running not the Kirin but the Qualcomm Snapdragon 625, which is also a newer mid-range chipset. Based on 14 nanometer of manufacturing, so it's more power efficient. In this phone, however, it is clocked up to a max of 2 gigahertz. So that's the maximum clock speed you will have on the 625 on this phone. Also, we have 3 gigs of RAM, and there's a 5.5 inch full HD 1080p panel. The battery size is 3340 milliamp, same as the one on Huawei Honor 6X. So it'll be interesting to see how this phone's battery life compares against the Honor 6X, which is running a Kirin 655 and not a Qualcomm Snapdragon 625. Okay, so now let's get into gallery, guys, and as you know, in my typical style, I'll be giving you some screen on times that I'll be taking in the last few days and see how the phone's performance is in the battery department. Okay, so first of all, if I remember correctly, I think I was actually checking the standby times because it's a Qualcomm Snapdragon, so I was very keen to find out how is the standby time on this phone. Okay, as you can see, just past midnight on 12th of Jan, the battery was down to 24%. If you can see it clearly, guys, there you go. So down to 24%, and just past the midnight time, and when I checked it again around just 6 o'clock in the morning, it had lost nothing at all whatsoever. And this is pretty much in line with what we had on the Honor 6X. As we know, EMUI is very power efficient and is very good when it comes to closing apps at the back end, and that's where it saves the battery life, especially on standby mode. Okay, so as you can see here, then I took another screenshot. Battery down to 5%, used 4G and Wi-Fi both. Most of my use was mixed, guys. And after using my phone for in a typical way, SoundCloud, Bluetooth, wireless music, WhatsApping, this phone was my main driver for the past 1 week. Instagram, social media, pages manager, everything else, guys. I was able to achieve 5 hours and 53 minutes of screen on time, and this was more or less mixed usage. This is pretty much in line with what we had on the Honor 6X. I think both Kirin 655 and Snapdragon 625 are mid-range octa-core chipsets, and they are very power efficient. But later in the video, in just a few seconds, I will show you why the 625 may be a bit slightly better than the Kirin 655. Okay, so here, as you can see, I started charging my phone at 5%. So I was very keen to find out how fast the phone will charge. So at 9:42, I started charging 5%. And battery was there, okay, and then you can see it went out all the way up to 65% at 10:51. So you can see it's just over an hour, and the battery made it from 5% to 65%, so which is not too bad. Okay, it's not as good as you have something, say, on the OnePlus 3 or the OnePlus 3T, the dash charging, or the Oppo's walk charging, but it's still fast enough. So like I said, 5% battery went up to 65% in just over an hour, so not looking too bad. Okay, at 70%, I think I was testing the standby times once more. I wanted to give it a bit more time and see how the battery will stand during standby time. So just before midnight at 23:49, guys, and it was down to 70%. And when I checked it the next in the morning, rather in the afternoon, just past 12, after approximately about 12 hours, just over 12 hours, the battery was down to 68%. Once again, pretty much in line with what I have been mentioning in my previous battery videos on EMUI, including the Honor 6X. It's very power efficient, and in about 12 hours, it only lost 2%. So from 70%, it went down to 68%. So once again, standby times are very good, not too bad. Okay, now I took the screenshot just to show you guys how the EMUI works at the back end. It says power intensive app found. So every now and then we're using apps apps, and if you see an app is draining too much battery, it will pop up with a message EMUI at the back end. It will tell you there's some sort of power app, intensive app, which is consuming too much battery, like for instance Facebook or Viber. Here you can see it says Viber is consuming power in the back end. Now I had stopped using Viber for nearly 2 hours, and finally the message came up because I wasn't using it. So I went in there and I tapped on it and I closed it. So once you go in there, guys, you can see it will give you all the options of all the apps running at the back end. As you can see, Instagram is consuming 40 milliamp, Chrome is consuming 40. So you can actually tell also how much each app is using, which is very, very nice. And you can take it or untake it based on whatever you need. If you need these apps, you can leave it on. It wouldn't give you much of a problem, but if you don't need them, at least it gives you an option to close them to save on battery life. Once again, you can see here, frequently wakes up and frequently wakes up. I use WhatsApp a lot more than Viber. That's why I unticked WhatsApp and I ticked Viber, because I don't use Viber that often. So as you can see, it kept on prompting me, and that was where it was saving battery life. Also, we know Facebook is a well-known culprit when it comes to battery life. I mean, the whole world knows that any phone running Facebook, you're asking for trouble. It always sucks the battery life out of any phone. So here you can see it's telling you again, frequently wakes up system. Despite me using Facebook not as often, it kept telling me that Facebook is using and consuming. So eventually I stopped Facebook at the back end, which also had saved a lot of battery life. Okay, down to 5% again, a mixed use, mostly, I think here, if I remember correctly, it was mostly Wi-Fi, even though I took a screenshot with 4G on top, but I remember correctly, the battery was about to die. I went outdoors and I was on 4G, but I had consumed most of my day on Wi-Fi. So I wanted to see how would it perform purely on Wi-Fi, as generally you see the trend on YouTube and in the reviewing community. They talk more about the Qualcomm Snapdragon 625 being efficient as well, but we know current chipsets are very, very efficient as well. But I wanted to see how efficient Qualcomm 625, the mid-range octa-core chipset, is like. And to my surprise, it was more than I expected. That's why after a heavy days of use, it says 1 day and 12 hours, pretty much on the same line as the Honor 6X. Both phones were with me at the same time, guys, for about a week, and both were taking over a day to finish. I was able to achieve 7 hours and 38 minutes of screen on time, and this was probably the best I had achieved on any smartphone lately. I know I achieved this kind of screen on time with S7 Edge back in the days when I used to have some good battery life, but these days it's not as good. But I haven't crossed 7 hours in a long time. I am, however, testing Lenovo P2 at the moment, and from the looks of it, seems it will clearly beat the Nova Plus. But obviously that phone has got a huge, massive 5100 mAh battery inside. Anyways, so I achieved 7 hours and 38 minutes of screen on time, which was again very, very nice. Okay, again down to 5%, showing all my usage: YouTube, Instagram, social media, emails, everything else, guys. Once again, after a heavy day, you can see I was once again after 1 day and 20 hours. It was averaging again 1 day, and sometime if you use the phone moderately, you can even squeeze 2 days out of it. So I nearly squeezed 2 days out of the Nova Plus's battery. As you can see, 1 day and 20 hours of total time that I was using the phone for. And eventually in the end, I was able to achieve a total screen on time of 5 hours and 13 minutes. Here I remember I used 4G more along with Wi-Fi. That's why the battery time went just down a little bit, not by much. So keep that in mind. If you're going to be using 4G more and less Wi-Fi, then do expect to get something around 4.5 to maybe 5 hours of screen on time, which again is very good, because flagship phones, even in 2016 and 2017, I don't think so they'll be giving us this kind of screen on time. I am hoping for better things. In 2016, I was a bit disappointed. Every now and then, the phones were behaving good and they were giving us decent amount of battery life, but not up to the scale of where Nova Plus and Honor 6 are. I know they're mid-ranges, but what do we expect in 2017? We expect flagship phones with powerful chipsets, more power efficient, please, bigger batteries like Huawei have done on the Nova Plus and also on the 6X. Big battery is the key. I don't want to see any lower batteries and trying to be a power efficient champion with the latest chipset, because that simply doesn't work, as we have seen in 2016 and over the years. Anyways, so further down here, I think I started charging the phone again at 3%, and I wanted to go all the way till the end. I wanted to see how long would it take to charge the phone. So as you can see, just past 11:23:08, guys, battery down to 3%, and then at 3 past 1, I had the battery up to 96%. So you can see here, in just about 2 hours, just over 2 hours, the battery went up from 3% to 96%. This is pretty much in line with what we had on the Huawei Honor 6X. If you remember in my previous video, guys, I did show you from 5% to 95%. It took just about 2 hours, and the story is pretty much the same on here on the Nova Plus as well. So from 3% to 96% in just around approximately 2 hours of screen on 2 hours of time. So if you are looking to charge the phone, and most people I know would start charging their phones around 15%, maybe 20%, so expect to charge your phone fully up to 100% from that time and about just under 2 hours. So not looking too bad. But all in all, I'm impressed with the battery life on the Huawei Nova Plus. It is pretty much in line with the Honor 6X, maybe slightly better because the Qualcomm Snapdragon 625 octa-core chipset manufactured on a 14 nanometer process seems to be a bit more efficient than the current 655 that we have on the Honor 6X, but the difference is not massive. If you're careful, if you're a moderate user, you can squeeze 2 days of battery life from both these phones, Nova Plus and also the Honor 6X. So guys, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. I'm sure you'll have plenty of questions. If you do, please ask me, and I will try my best to make sure I answer every possible question. And please guys, subscribe to my channel as it helps, and I shall see you in the next video.